Are you ready to onboard the flight called life and reach the destination called happy living? If you're ready for it, I want to personally welcome you into this podcast because here I'm going to be sharing three kinds of baggage to drop to start feeling 10 years younger. Are you ready for this journey? If you are, then hey, this is Karthik. I want to personally welcome you into the Performance Edge podcast, a podcast which has a goal towards helping you rekindle that fire inside of you. Truly find that performance edge by you doing the deep work on yourself and then starting to contribute as a leader for people around you, for people who matter, who you connect deeply in your life. First baggage that's not allowed on this flight is the baggage of emotions. I hope you very well understand, you know, um, we as humans are emotional beings, right? Like that's exactly what makes us who we are. It's those emotions, the deep connection, the deep bonding, all that happens because of the emotions. It's a very integral part of who we are as human beings. But the fact that that can also create kind of a havoc in a lot of people's lives is also the real reason that we need to stop carrying the baggage of emotions from our past. Let me tell you a story here. Probably I've heard this, but nevertheless, let me narrate this for you. So there was a monk who was just walking by, and there was a big bridge with a kind of a deeper, a large inclination, which they had to cross, him along with his disciples. And along the way, he sees an old woman who's just at the start of the bridge and asks for help. She says to the monk, "Hey, I've become old. It's very difficult for me to cross this bridge. Can you help me out?" So the monk, being a monk, he says, "No problem. I'm here to help you." So, you know what? He starts carrying this old woman on his back, and she's very fragile. She's probably in a lot of pain and all that. He starts carrying this old woman across the bridge. So while walking across the bridge, the old woman, she starts calling names to this monk who's helping her. She says, "Can't you do this properly? You're just walking too fast. You're going too slow. It's hurting me too much. You're really a stupid person. You don't even know how to do a simple thing." So on and so forth. She starts yelling at him. She starts screaming. She starts calling out names. But the monk, he tries his best to, not, aggravate her pain or anything of that sort. And he walks past the bridge. And once he reaches the other end of the bridge, he puts her down and says, "Take care. Here is some food if you want, some water which I've carried. Please help yourself. If you have any other thing in your mind or any questions, please do ask. And I'm going to be returning back in a day's time. If you're still around, I'll be more than happy to carry you to the other side again." And then the monk and the disciples, they all walk away. While walking, after an hour's time, one of the disciples, he was very curious with what happened, the whole incident, and he asks his master, "Master, you carried that old woman all the way through that very, strenuous bridge. It was not an easy bridge to cross, but you carried her on your back. But throughout the way, when you are carrying her, she kept calling you names. She kept yelling at you. She kept screaming at you, but you never said anything. Is this how we have to behave with people who, do nasty things to us?" So, after a 1 hour walk from that point where they dropped off that old woman, this disciple asks this question, to which the master replies, saying, "I dropped her an hour ago, and you seem to be carrying those emotional baggage even after 1 hour, even after an hour." And this is the biggest challenge. A lot of people, they keep carrying those emotional baggages, not just for an hour, but for a year, sometimes 10 years, 20 years, sometimes for a lifetime. And that's why they never reach the destination called happy living. I'm not saying don't be, sensitive to emotions. But if you're constantly carrying that, and if you know that it's creating a burden for you in your life, it's kind of creating friction in different areas of your life, I think it's really wise to drop that baggage and start enjoying the journey all over again. Okay, so that's the first thing, emotional baggage. Let's talk about the second kind of baggage that you are not allowed to carry in this flight called life. The second baggage is the baggage of habits. The baggage of habits. When I say habits, the kind of things that has created your current version that we keep carrying forward and keep wondering why the change is not happening in our lives. You know, it can be the habit of stress, the habit of anxiety, the habit of anger, that we keep carrying it forward. And the reason why I'm saying it's a habit is because if those environmental conditions reoccur, the habits automatically show up. For example, when I used to go through, this kind of an anxiety kind of a situation, because I had to travel a long way to work, and being in Bangalore, it used to be very strenuous for me to do the daily commute in the traffic, and with so much of congestion and all that. So it used to automatically create some kind of anxiety in me every morning. So every morning when I used to go and sit at my breakfast table, it used to create some kind of anxiety, some kind of bad emotional triggers that used to create, this kind of a habits baggage that led to a lot of friction, a lot of fights, a lot of unwanted conversations with my family members. And if you're someone who's experiencing one or more of that, please drop a comment below and let me know if you have experienced such things in your life. Until I realized that, hey, this is not a baggage that I want to carry forward. That's when I started working on important habits like my clarity, my energy, my psychological necessity, and started moving towards, more positive ranges of emotions. Okay. So if that's something which is important to you, that you want to build great habits in your life so that the wrong baggage is not carried through, in this journey, I'll leave a link below through which you can actually sign up for my upcoming masterclass and learn how can you deal with all this kind of baggages. Yeah. The third one I want to talk about, important baggage that you are not allowed to carry in this journey, in this flight called life, is the social baggage. When I say social baggage, it's not about the connection, it's not about other fellow humans, not that kind of a social thing, but the baggage that we tend to conform to all other people, especially who are very influential in our lives, and we tend to have their value systems for ourselves. When I say their value system, you can have their value system for your own self, provided you're congruent with that. Otherwise, it's going to constantly create a internal fight, saying you want to live your own authentic life, but you're now trying to live someone else's life, someone else's value, someone else's identity, someone else's schedule. And therefore, there's a congruence mismatch, and this kind of creates a lot of stress and strain in our life, in our mind, and so on and so forth. Right. So that's the third baggage. Don't carry this baggage of conformity. You can start creating, you can start kind of architecting your own path, your own life, whatever that might be for you, provided you're congruent with it, provided that makes you happy, provided that's useful for others. And then you will see that when you stop carrying these three baggages on this flight of life, you will start feeling 10 years younger, if not maybe 20 years younger, because you don't have to carry so much of load and keep paying the price. That's what happens, right? If you go over and beyond the weight that you are expected to carry, you're supposed to carry on a flight, you have to pay the price. You have to pay extra, and you don't have to pay the price for carrying these baggages. So if you're ready to drop all of these baggages, can you let me know in the comment box what are all the baggages you're ready to drop right now, and go on and start living, start your journey towards this awesome destination called happy living. Thank you so much. This is Karthik signing off from this episode of the Performance Edge podcast. I'll catch you soon in the next one. Take care.